It is summer of 2019, and you are watching the decline of Game of Thrones in real time. You're more anxious about what will happen to Dany and Drogon than you are about submitting your own final research paper. You watch her return to the scene of her child Rhaegal's murder, and you see her and Drogon destroy a sea full of scorpions with nothing but plot armor and sheer audacity. You watch her destroy the Golden Company, and then her army, which consists of Dothraki, the Unsullied, and accompanied by Jon's army, and symbolically take the city in her name. But let's be honest, she was spoon-feeding those men at this point. If it weren't for her dragons, half of them wouldn't even be alive. But let's not get into that just yet. I'm talking about that one episode which will go down in history as a masterclass in misogyny. So what happens after the Lannister army surrenders? She's waiting for them to ring the bell, the damn bells. Tyrion is holding his breath because he asked her to stop if the people surrender, but she asked him to not free his brother. So it's okay if he goes back on his word, but she can't. Tyrion knows that Jaime would run to rescue Cersei, the woman who not only betrayed all of them by holding off on her support during the battle against the Night King, which is the ultimate supernatural threat, by the way, but she also had Euron Greyjoy attack Rhaegal and Drogon, the same dragons they desperately needed to fight off the Night King. She also captured Missandei, an innocent girl who was the last of Daenerys' support system. She was like a child to Daenerys because she saw herself in that girl when she was still a slave. The only difference is no one came to save Dany, but she thought she could save Missandei. Do you realize where I'm going with this? Daenerys is not mad, and everyone saying that is either brain dead or they're just a garden variety misogynist, incapable of forming their own opinions. Let's break this down. Daenerys' childhood is packed to the brim with trauma. But unlike your favorite characters such as Jaime likes to do his sister Lannister and Jon, I don't want it, but I can't seem to get out of the way, Snow, she does not use her past as a crutch. At every step of her journey, she has evolved. Not by resisting the darkness, because why should she? It's not Barbie land, but by alchemizing it. Sold off to a warlord? Get him to respect you. New customs, new people? Learn to mingle instead of judge. Starvation, betrayal, it's all a lesson, and you learn your lesson so you don't have to learn it twice. Every single chapter of Daenerys' story is her improving, is her bettering herself. And no, it's not easy. So to think that in Westeros, with the ungratefulness of the Starks and the depravity of the Lannisters, she would go mad, I don't believe it. But let's say that that happened because it did in the show. And it doesn't matter what happened in the books because it's not like we have an ETA on that. I still don't think that the vitriol that I see online about Daenerys, you know, how Daenerys was always mad, Daenerys always shows violence, Daenerys was the villain. It makes me sick. It's as if we want her to be the villain so bad. It's as if we want to see the worst in her. We are naive enough to think that the mother of dragons, Misa, breaker of chains, would somehow turn the other cheek. Is that what you expect of matriarch? Well, I have news for you. If Daenerys is the epitome of feminine power, the ruler that would be feared and loved, then she cannot, in the face of betrayal, accept surrender. When, let's be honest, the surrender came too late. Do I think that she should have killed the civilians? No. I don't know what the writers were smoking when they decided to do that, but I do think that she should have made an example out of the Lannisters. If she is the conqueror forged in Aegon's shadow, and she did give them a chance to surrender, and they refused, then what happened to Harrenhal is what should have happened to the Red Keep. In fact, she had even more right to do so than Aegon. Aegon did not lose his children to the hubris and entitlement of Tyrion, Jaime, and Cersei, treating all of Westeros like their own personal playground. Let's talk about Tyrion for a second. Freed your brother and you slaughtered a city, but why are they getting slaughtered in the first place? Does it have anything to do with his lack of foresight and choosing to protect Cersei and Jaime over the livelihood of these people. Maybe if he had not misguided Daenerys several times, she could have just dealt with Cersei before the Night King and this wouldn't have happened at all. Maybe if he did not help Jaime save Cersei, he could have used those passages to help the civilians instead. But no. Tyrion makes excuses for his terrible family, especially his brother, but his siblings quite literally tried to execute him for his nephew's murder. Same nephew that did everything in his power to make his life hell. And Jaime gets labeled as this good guy, but would a good guy go all the way to Winterfell, fight the White Walkers, witness the scale of death and destruction, and then go back to the woman who left all of these people for dead? That is just terrible. God, how does that make him a good guy? Tyrion and Jaime make such a big deal about Cersei being pregnant and having a child. Well, what about Dany's children? Or are we so deprived of humanity that we think Cersei's psychopath in the making is somehow more deserving of life than Dany's actual existing children? I mean, the dragons that saved them from the Night King, and also Missandei. I keep reiterating the theme of children because at the end of the day, it's about two opposing maternal figures. Cersei, who thinks that the world can burn so long as her children are comfortable, and Dany, who sacrificed her children for the world to be safer, only for all of them to point fingers at her. In my opinion, Jaime should have been deep fried. Freeing Cersei meant that Rhaegal, Missandei, countless civilians in the north, and Jorah all died for nothing. It is basically him saying, yeah, I don't want the Night King to kill you all, but Cersei can do whatever she wants with you. When it comes to the actual slaughter that took place, there is a lot of outrage that I believe is misplaced. I keep thinking of two specific scenes. One where there's a little girl who's running around and she has this scared look on her face because she's trying to escape the dragon fire. And the second scene is of this woman who's being dragged so that this man could assault her. In the middle of all of this, and Jon shows up as usual because they have to make him look like this great guy next to crazy pants Daenerys. Now, the writing here is so bad that it gives me secondhand embarrassment. Number one, why would Daenerys burn a little girl if the whole reason why she's so angry is because they killed the little girl she rescued? Doesn't make any sense. The first time she ever conquered a city, with baby Drogon, by the way, what were her orders? Do not harm any children. She has never hesitated in the face of violence because she always knows how to temper it. Killing masters? Approved. Killing children? Not approved. You're telling me that she would conveniently forget that there would be kids in King's Landing? It's pathetic. Also, when it comes to assaulting women mid-battle, the Unsullied can't do that, for anatomical reasons. She picked the Unsullied because she trusted them to not hurt innocent people in battle. The Dothraki are capable of terrible things, yes. But you know what they never do? They never disobey their leader. And Daenerys put an end to all wording and pillaging. In fact, if you look at the exact scene, the man is not Dothraki. The man is either a local or he's part of Jon's army. So that means that this is not her jurisdiction. She's not officially the queen of this godforsaken place. So Jon is stepping in to stop his own men from getting carried away. This shows his incompetence as a leader, not hers. You're telling me that the prince that was promised has to micromanage his own subjects in the middle of a dragon raining fire on everyone? Here's the thing. It's not a secret that writers and directors in general like to add R-word scenes to come off as more realistic when they're actually just satisfying their own kinks. I would go so far as to say that this scene was added just to appease creepy men who might be watching and enjoy stuff like that. I don't think it added any value to the show or the storyline. You know what would have been realistic and would have added value? Dany leaving the civilians alone, heading straight for the Red Keep, turning it into a second Harrenhal with Cersei in it, and then coming back for Jaime and Tyrion because they love to stick together. You know why? Because that is what a mother's revenge looks like. That is not madness. That is called the consequences of your own actions. We were so quick to call Dany mad, when in fact it wasn't madness to burn Mirri Maz Duur for what she did to Khal Drogo. And for dishing out cruel lessons when Dany was just trying to help. Yes, we get it. Her life had already been destroyed by the Dothraki by the time Daenerys intervened. But does that change the fact that Daenerys is the only person who intervened? And her intentions were pure? No shit, her methods were not perfect. No one is ever perfect when they're learning to speak up about what is wrong. It should not be answered with the death of your child and the lifeless version of your husband. Burning her for that is not madness, it's common sense. It's not madness to imprison someone who you called your friend, but she went behind your back and helped someone steal your baby dragons. That is just a mother being protective. If you think it is wrong for a mother to pay you back in kind for hurting her children, you are wrong. People are so adamant to turn every single decision she made into madness that they forget what they are describing as sanity is complete passivity. And that is all well and good for a heroine of a young adult novel written specifically to keep women small and subservient. But don't forget that Dany is a dragon-riding, matriarchal warlord. What people dress up as madness in Daenerys is just her using the appropriate amount of force in a situation where men have done worse. Tyrion did not care about civilians dying when he cooked up the wildfire plan. Peter Dinklage won an Emmy for the scene where he says, "I wish I had enough poison for the pack of you." But when Daenerys does it, well, she's mad. Take Jon, for example. He executed Ollie for not accepting his decision on the wildlings. Why, you ask? Well, Ollie saw his parents die at the hands of Ygritte. Was his execution malicious? No, but it was a difficult decision that he had to make. Why is it that only men get the luxury of making difficult decisions, while women get stabbed in the spleen for it? In the end, the only thing I want to say about Daenerys is that this was the greatest female character ever written. Why? Because she was the perfect mix of softness and strength. The kind of woman that does not have to harden because she knows how to answer in equal measure when her kindness is taken for granted. And that is a conversation you're not ready for because you think that motherhood is just rainbows and sunshine. It's not. It's fiercely protecting what you take under your wing and exacting unspeakable revenge on those who hurt them. That's what she said, right? Those who hurt you will die screaming. What's wrong with that? We should all apologize to Daenerys Targaryen and accept her for who she was. The mother of dragons, not the manic pixie dream girl you were hoping she would act like because she was in love and it's whatever that you killed her kids.